Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pop Culture Spread, our fun weekly movie and streaming news show with a twist. If you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Rick. Hit that like and subscribe button. Also, hit that notification bell. We would really appreciate it. Also, remember, you can hear us on audio podcast on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and where all good podcasts are found. Also, guys, you can check out our merchandise store. All the links are down below. And joining me on the show, as always, here's the other half of Pop Culture Spread and my good mate, VHS. Jace, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, buddy. I am already eager and willing to talk about some pretty interesting stories we've got to talk about this week. So
We do. We got some interesting ones, mate. So further ado, mate, let's get straight into it. Let's talk some big news. And here we go, mate. The biggest one of all. Vin Diesel teases Fast Saga final. Will it really be the last? I'm hoping this will be the last because I'm absolutely sick of this franchise, Jace. What are your thoughts, mate? Is this going to be the end of Fast and Furious?
I think for now, yes, but I don't know if they wouldn't return in 5 to 10 years because let's be really brutally honest here, mate. What is Vin Diesel's career without this franchise?
Nothing.
Really? I mean, he had Riddick, but that's kind of come and gone.
That's gone.
But yeah, this is it, you know. And look, let's give credit where credit's due, Rick. They made this franchise work because let's be honest, the first one is just a rip-off of Point Break and not that good. The second one, I didn't enjoy at all.
Right.
Tokyo Drift, I actually didn't mind too much.
Okay.
4 was great. No, 4 was good. 5 and 6 were great. Those two films were actually the cornerstones of that whole franchise. 7 was, and then it's kind of dipped off since like 7 onwards. But yeah, all credit due. I can't believe they made a franchise that's lasted 11 films out of this idea. You know, they've made it work, you know. But yeah, to think that it's finally done, yeah, it's got to be, right? I mean, they've been to space at this point, Rick.
How far can you go? Where else can you take this franchise? They've done all the cheesiness everywhere, all the ridiculousness. It's done. It's just bury it. Like, I'm over it. And they haven't really been performing that well. I don't think the last one didn't do very well in the box office.
Well, it's hard to judge the entire franchise on that last film because you know what, Rick? Something I've been noticing lately is nothing has been performing that great in the last 2 or 3 years, respectively, for their franchises. However, the quality has certainly dipped, so that could be another reason and why people are just not kind of going anymore. However, I would suspect this number 11 will be a $1 billion movie.
What?
Yep, that's my prediction. Because when they were at their peak, these movies were money-making machines, Rick. They grossed billions of dollars combined in their franchise, let alone if they do their marketing right one last time, I reckon it'll be kind of a huge movie. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing more you can do. It's time to go. Ooh, I mean, how old's Vin Diesel now? He's got to be in his 50s, right? It's time.
He's done. He's done. And there's too many feuds between him and The Rock and Statham and this and that, the back and forth because of the, you know, who can piss the furthest. That's what it is. Like,
well, there's a little bit of that, absolutely. But we should be really honest and open and say that it's not the actual end of the franchise as such. Sorry, mate. I'm just checking something out here. Autoplay videos. Don't you hate autoplay videos? Either way, I'm going to look at the story here without getting in my way. But I do believe they got spin-offs coming. I do believe there's Hobbs and Shaw 2 on its way.
See, I didn't mind Hobbs and Shaw. I enjoyed that. I liked that spin-off. So that's
and The Rock returning. Spoiler alert. I think that'll make hopefully that'll be a sign of they're going to really give it everything they've got for the final film. But who knows? So I'd love to know out there if they love the franchise, are they upset that it's done at number 11? Are they, glad that it's done? I'd love to hear what people out there thought of this franchise because it did have its high moments, but boy, it's had some low moments too.
Yeah, it certainly has, mate. It certainly has. All right, buddy. Let's move on to another series, but let's talk in other news. Well, let's talk another big. Oh, we're going with this one. Okay. That's all right.
No, sorry, Rick. I do apologize. Well, we are. We're going to go with this one.
Let's go with this one.
I'll throw it into anarchy today. We're just going. We're doing whatever.
We're doing whatever. Now, anime is not a big thing for me, Jace, so I'm not really too familiar about this one, but there is a live-action Naruto movie being helmed by Shang-Chi director. Now, I'm assuming this is good news. This is exciting. What are we talking about here,
Look,
Jace?
I mean, I've never actually really watched the show, but I think you'd be living under a rock not to at least be aware of that iconography, those images, and know it is an extremely popular series. The cartoon is apparently, some of the, I think the millennials, it's one of their favorite cartoons of all time. So, no, this is good. This is great. I wanted to talk about this, Rick, because I think it's a sign of where if you are going to adapt anime or comic book series, this kind of fun action adventure series is probably a really good way to go. And it's going to be directed by Daniel Daniel Cretton. I think his name's longer than that. Destin Daniel Cretton, sorry. That's his full name. And he directed Shang-Chi, and he did a great job, Rick, right?
Job. Amazing.
That was probably the phase 4 for me, one of the best films in that entire phase. So to have something like that, be done by a proven action director, I think if you're a fan of this series, you've got to be excited, right? I mean,
you'd have to be.
This is, like I said, it's a very popular anime series, but it's not like, a giant thing. It's got a niche audience, you know what I mean? And so if you're going to get that kind of quality director on your film, that's a good sign. And I think if you've watched, I finished just recently, yesterday, finished watching the live action Avatar series.
Okay.
And mind you, it's quite controversial out there with opinions, but I personally loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. And that's a great example, even though that's not anime, it's anime inspired. Let me be very clear on that. That kind of expressive cartoons drawn in that style with the action scene, they were able to translate that into live action extremely well. So to me, it's also exciting knowing that with shows like One Piece, which was a fantastic
awesome.
Netflix
That was
series,
really good.
and Avatar now, they can adapt these either anime or anime-inspired shows and make them work live action. So if I was a fan of Naruto, I'd be jumping up for joy over this news, Rick.
So there's hope. There's hope that this is going to be good. Well, like I said, I'm not big into anime, so I'm not too much. But look, I'll check it out. Like I said, I've seen a couple other ones out there, but in the past they haven't been really, really good. But
I do recommend for you, Rick, Avatar: The Last Airbender series on Netflix.
Really?
I do recommend that. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I'm going to jump on that
solid
for sure.
recommendation by the big fella. All right, move on to the next story.
Move on to the next story. Another big franchise, Jace. Let's talk about Harry Potter. Harry Potter Max series release date window revealed. Do we really need a Harry Potter series? Is it something that everyone's asking about?
I'm shocked it's coming so soon. Like, I would imagine in like 10 years' time, that would have been the time to reboot it. But no, they're going to reboot this thing and they're going to make it a series. And I think if you wanted to rinse every drop out of that franchise, an ongoing series with each season focusing a year at Hogwarts, and I bet you that's what they're probably going to do, this thing could be huge for HBO Max.
Oh, of course. But like,
I mean, we were just talking about Naruto having a niche audience. Harry Potter is like equal to Star Wars fan base. It's just millions of fans who are dying to see more of this. So Let's David Zaslav, the big kahuna over there at Warner
Making
Brothers
good decisions
Discovery.
out there.
Yep. He goes, we have not been shy around our excitement around Harry Potter, he says. The last film was made more than a dozen years ago. And that took me by surprise, Rick, because it was made a dozen years ago. Like 2011, I believe it was, Rick. And then, and he goes, I was in London a few weeks ago with Casey and Channing, whoever the team are behind doing this. And they spent some time with J.K. Rowling. She's completely on board with this idea.
Of course she is. You're going to make millions.
And both sides are thrilled to be reigniting this series. Our conversations were great, and we couldn't be more excited about what's ahead. We can't wait to share a decade of new stories with fans around the world on Max. Okay, did you hear that? Decade-long, Rick. They're committing to 10 years of Harry Potter content. Now, it goes on, mate. The Harry Potter series is described as a decade-long project, which each season expected to adapt one book at a time. Okay. All right. Which consists of, they're basically saying you've got 7 books, and they're going to stretch that over 10 years.
Wow. Okay.
That is insane.
That's a lot. That's a big call. But I mean, look, like I said, it's got a niche market to it. People love Harry Potter.
How do you do it, though, dude? How do you do it? Because how do you keep kids looking the same?
You can't.
Like 10 years is a long time. I mean, you look at the Harry Potter films, right? You look at those 3 kids when they were in the Philosopher's Stone, baby-faced 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds. Right, and then by their end, they're in their early 20s by the time they finished in 2011, I believe was the last film. So that was 9 years or whatever, 10 years of their life. So I suppose it can be done, but man, there you go. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you must be fist pumping the air.
Yeah, I'm not fist pumping the air because I'm not excited about it. But you're right. There are. Look, man, it is.
You're not a Harry Potter fan. Did you not enjoy the Harry Potter franchise?
I didn't mind them. I actually went to the cinemas and saw a few of them. But, it's right. It's not like I go back and go, oh shit, I haven't watched the Harry Potter movie for a while. I'll just jump on and watch one.
That's not for me either. No. But I know a lot of people who do. My issue with the film series, to be honest with you, I loved the first 2. I love the real kiddie versions of it. Yeah. Number 3 is the best one for me, Prisoner of Azkaban. I think that's the best film. To me, when it got to book 6, I really struggled with that one. And then, obviously, the Deathly Hallows, Part 1 and Part 2 was a misfire. It could have just been one film, rather than splitting it in 2. But that was Warner Brothers at the time, trying to drain every last drop out of the film franchise. No, man, Harry Potter's not going anywhere for a while by the looks.
Doesn't sound like he is, mate. All right, fair enough. Let's move on to some other big news, Jace, which was quite interesting to hear about this one.
Yeah,
the Beatles, mate. The Beatles are in the news. When did Sam Mendes earn the right to direct 4 Beatles biopics? This is huge news because we all know how big the Beatles are, and for someone to take on that responsibility, it's big news, mate.
Well, it is because, number one, Sam Mendes is a fantastic director. He has got an unbelievable filmography. I mean, just examples alone of American Beauty, Revolutionary Road, Empire, he did a Bond film, Skyfall. Spectre.
Spectre and Skyfall. He did both.
And Skyfall, yes. So, he's a credible director, and wow, Rick. We're just talking about commitment of 10 years. This has got to be at least a 10-year commitment too, because Sam Mendes isn't going to direct a single Beatles biopic.
Oh.
He's going to do 4.
That's massive.
Which I was gobsmacked when I read that. So if, and apparently Richard Linklater was going to do one at some point as well. But how exciting of an idea and a genius idea is this, Rick? You got to cover the most famous band that's ever existed.
Correct.
There's no bigger band.
No.
You can argue Rolling Stones.
No, that's right. Face everyone knows.
Beatles are the cornerstone of modern music as we know today. That's it. So to actually go in and do a biopic about Paul and then about John and then about Ringo and George, that could be really freaking cool. Especially if they're going to cover each person's life. I think it would be great because, you've got John and you've got the John story, which is going to be, tragic ending. You've got George, which is a very sad ending. And then Paul and Ringo are still around. So, man, I think this could be Oscar films. This is kind of level of filmmaking we're talking about here. I think they're fantastic. Would you watch four Beatles biopics, Rick?
Oh, actually, I would. I would. I think I like the concept of this. This is something different. And growing up, I enjoyed obviously the Beatles. We all know their songs. There've been a lot of movies and shows out there before.
We've all been raised by them.
And obviously, certain elements to certain members of what's happened in their life because it's all been in the media. It's been everywhere. But it'd be really good to go in depth on each and individual one and see how they go. Like Ringo, we don't really know much about Ringo. We still see Paul McCartney around. He was here in Adelaide last year, I think, or whatever, and did his concert. Apparently, it was phenomenal. It was like a 3-hour concert. I'm definitely keen to check this out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that there's meaty material to be. Did you watch the Peter Jackson documentary on Get Back?
No.
Massive, what was it, 8-10 hours of the Beatles, watching them make their final album in the studio. Some of the most enthralling, fascinating documentary footage ever put to film. If you're a Beatles fan, and if you are, you've watched Get Back probably multiple times. But it's incredible to watch, so I recommend that as well. No, that'll be good, mate. That's very exciting.
All right, mate. Also, what I'm looking forward to is the train wreck of the week, mate.
Oi.
Yeah. Jace, let's get. Who's hit the train?
Alrighty, Ricky. Alrighty, now, like you're thinking, you're reading that line, aren't you, Rick? And going, what's so train wreck about Bob Marley crossing 100 million worldwide? No, that is not what we're talking about, Rick. We're talking about the next line. Madam Web plunges to 4th place at the box office. Disaster. Oh my! When will Sony learn about this spin-off Spider-Verse stuff? If it's not animated, don't make it, because every other spin-off, live-action spin-offs they have attempted, and I'm going to include Venom in these, even though I think Venom are okay films. They just don't work. They're always duds, and Madam Web has been an absolute dud. It was marketed poorly, and based on, I've not seen the film, so I can't judge my personal taste on it. But the reports, Rick, coming through, and from trusted people that I know, telling me that they've seen it and explained the entire story to me, and it is unfreaking believable, and it's failed at the box office again.
Of course it is.
Minor spoiler here, all right? Spoiler. I know you won't care, Rick.
I haven't seen it either. I don't care.
But you don't care. And guys, if you don't want to know about this, don't say anything.
Yeah.
It's not a superhero film. So anytime you see those girls in the costume, that's a flash forward segment. It's about those girls before they were superheroes.
Kidding me.
That's what it is. Anyway, spoilers over, guys. Sorry about that.
All right, that's it.
It's not going to ruin the film. I think how they make it is what's going to ruin the film. But it's an absolute done on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just having a look at the critic scores for it. But, yeah, mate, like, what made them think Madam Web was a character that people wanted to see at the cinema?
I don't know. Look at Sony's track record of these movies that they've done. Not good. Now they've got Craven coming out. Mm-hmm. I don't have high hopes for that either.
Which, yeah. Nah. Well, you've seen Morbius being absolute disaster.
Garbage.
Right?
Yeah.
We've seen Venom 1. Venom 2 is a disaster, to be honest.
Oh, that's terrible.
Venom 1's okay, but Venom 2's pretty bad. What else has come out that I feel like I've forgotten about? There was something else. Yeah, the spin-off stuff. The animated stuff's been great.
Yeah.
However, just we don't want to see that stuff. Why didn't you make Spider-Woman movie? Like, you could have just done Spider-Woman. However, check this out, though, Rick. Check this out.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look at the score. 13%. Which is critics, but screw the critics. But 56% for the audience rating is still a very, very low score. Very low score. Let's have a look and see if we have any snippets here. We got any snippets? Well, look how much green there is. It collapses so pathetically that the studio executives might as well have dialed 911 to rescue it. Boom. It's done. It's done. It's unbelievable. I don't know who they were targeting. If they were targeting a strong female audience for this, you didn't advertise anything that would have been exciting for them to see. And, Sydney Sweeney being, all the young, up-and-coming starlets, all that kind of thing are in this film. But superhero films like that will not survive in the future. Those kind of films won't be made coming up, Rick.
No,
they won't, because they're just going to lose money. You're not going to make them. You're still going to get your big ones like your Fantastic Fours and X-Men and all that kind of thing. But these kind of spin-off characters, it's unbelievable. That is not even a subject matter worthy of a Disney Plus series or a Netflix series. I have no idea who thought that this was going to take the world by storm.
But
was it even going to be profitable? It's nuts to me.
How much did they? It must have cost a bit to make. I don't know what the budget was, but surely someone's got to be responsible for this, because I've heard this is like I said, I haven't seen this. Like
Sony don't know how to handle their Spider-Verse franchise.
Just let it go.
And they're not listening to the audience, because what did the audience want? And was heavily rumored for this film that Andrew Garfield was going to be reprising his role as Spider-Man in this film. It was heavily rumored. Now, that didn't happen. But why aren't you listening to the audience, Sony? What is the audience saying? We want another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man film. In fact, we want that more than we want a Tom Holland fourth movie. And I think that's a fair statement to make. That's what people want. Sony, if you want to build trust, because no one's going to go and see Kraven the Hunter now. Even though that looks good, no one's going to want to see it, because they're going, I gave you money for Morbius. I gave you money for Venom 2. I gave you money for Madam Web. And you've let me down on every single occasion. Why am I going to invest in anything more? You need to get a crowd pleaser. You thought they would have noticed that with Spider-Man No Way Home, how amazing that film was. You know what I mean? And but it's also evidence, isn't it, Rick, that the creative team behind the Spider-Man No Way Home franchise and the spin-off series are two separate teams. Because you could tell the MCU influence on... Well, Kevin Feige's the producer.
Of course.
So he's the one who made sure those Spider-Man films were great. And everything else just falls apart. It's...
You wouldn't see Kevin Feige put out, this heap of shit.
He would get buried. You wouldn't even know about it.
That's right.
It never would have got past script stage, because the first thing Kevin Feige would have said, he goes, now, why do we need this? What is this doing for anyone? It's just nuts. It's just nuts. So the train wreck of the week is superhero films. And Rick, I predict this is not going to be the only one coming in 2024 where it falls flat. I just feel like unless you're a Deadpool 3 or unless you're something massive in scale, people are just not going to go and see these at the cinema anymore. Not when you can watch streaming services at home, which have superheroes. You want to watch streaming superheroes, like superhero series? There's dozens of them available.
Why don't they just dump this here anyway? Why don't they just put it on streaming and that's it? Let it be.
I don't know, because Sony are actually very smart here, Rick. They're the only studio who don't have they're one of the... It's not true. They're one of the largest studios that don't have a streaming service. Because for them, it's better to sell their rights to their shows to other platforms rather than make $1 million losses like the other guys are. So they're actually quite smart.
They're losing money.
That's how a
making
profit.
garbage.
Yeah. So yeah, in a weird way, this film may be profitable for Sony once they sell it to all the streaming services. Because Sony doesn't have to just sell to Disney Plus; they could sell to all of them.
Yeah.
Whoever wants to buy their content can buy it. So, but no, it's sad.
Streaming, would you watch it if it goes on streaming? Just to
curiosity, will drive me to watch it, just to see how bad it is.
Yeah,
And I did that last night too, Rick.
Okay.
We'll talk about this after the show too.
Sure.
But shortly, I watched Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom last night.
Right. Okay.
I watched the sequel last night. Yeah.
Yep.
It is so awful. It is unbelievable. It is shockingly bad. But you got to watch it. You got to watch them.
Yeah.
So, but there you go.
Well,
Rick, that's it, mate. We're done.
Beautiful, mate. That wraps up the show then, Jace. I think we've covered all the stories this week. We've done some crackers. So good show this week, Jace. Just quickly, guys, if you obviously you want to see more of myself and Jace, we're here on the channel, guys. So we've got a backlog catalog of so much, guys. So check all that out.
Check us out.
Yeah, all the links are down below. But apart from that, Jace, thank you so much for joining me this week, and we'll see everyone all next week. Bye for now.
For sure. See you guys.
Thanks for watching the Pop Culture Spread YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Also, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. And if you're looking for some quality wear, don't forget to check out our merchandise store available right now.